Now I have it here in front of me, Fit for a Better World, Accelerating Our Economic Potential. You can get, of course, the copy of this roadmap and some further digging in and some bedtime reading, of course, on the Ministry for Primary Industries website. Of course, the vision for the Primary Sector Council was, of course, around a shared and common vision known as Te Taiao, and the bringing together of integrity, guardianship, ingenuity and respect. And joining us now is Minister for Agriculture, Damien O'Connor, who has, as we said there with Peter Bryce, been at the Mount Albert Grammar School today. How was that with the children, and what a great platform to launch your roadmap?
It was, and it was holidays, so some of the senior students came back. They were really enthusiastic about it, and spoke to many who were going to Massey or Lincoln, so that was exciting in itself. But look, this is the launch of 3 reports effectively. We had a great turnout of industry leaders. Some had come a long way. They've been involved with it. They understand, what we're trying to do here. And this is just the start of the journey, really. And it was good to get it out. I'd hoped to do that in April, but COVID, has interfered with a lot of things, of course. So it's out there now, and it just really, to tie out and the vision actually captures what most farmers in New Zealand want to do, and that's take good care of the animals, the land, and produce really fine quality products. And then it's a chance now to tell that story. Obviously I'm not here to be critical of it, because it's been, as you said, a long time coming, and we do need to all jump on board in terms of similar magnetic north together. But just a couple of questions to work through. Te Taiao is a Māori term around guardianship. I just want to understand why such a short runway of a decade when we have continuously talked about we need a longer 50, 100-year plan and vision. Look, the 10-year thing was really around the action plan that we launched today. The Taiao is enduring, and I think as it develops, we'll become more entrenched in everything that we do. What we had was a roadmap for the next 10 years. I guess people wanted to know, well, what are we going to do in that next 10-year period? But in fact, if we get this right, then the Taiao will indeed be enduring, because it is about well-being of all components of our life and our economy. And I don't think there are too many Kiwis, particularly after COVID, that want anything other than that. And so, it's a direction of travel. But, if we just pointed to the 50-year kind of goals and there wasn't anything in the next, 5 to 10 years, then people would say, it's all a bit vague.
You talk a lot around these chapters about transformational opportunities. Now, to transform, you need everybody on board. With this Primary Sector Council, do you feel that you had a representation of all voices at the table?
It wasn't a representative group at all. It was a group of people who had who were lateral thinkers, people who had a passion for the future of our sectors, and who got into a room and argued and scrapped and fought and basically came to a shared vision. And if you just end up with representatives, then you end up with compromise to meet the objectives of those people, and that's sometimes not what you want. This was a clean sheet of paper with a group of really proactive and energetic and lateral thinking, and indeed this is what they came up with. And actually most people, when they think through it, they actually conclude that actually it's not too bad, and it's a really good place to start from.
Yeah, absolutely. And that certainly is what it is, a place to start from. The reason for my question was just about the stakeholder buy-in, so that this filters right down to the daily farm decisions behind the farm gate, and that buy-in in this vision as well.
Look, if you're supplying Silverfin Farms or Alliance, Finlay, even Fonterra now, if you don't buy into their assurance programs that are linked to sustainability, that are linked to good on-farm practice, you won't get the premium. Fonterra announced a 10-cent premium, if you can meet their assurance program. So everyone's moving in this direction, but the question of, whether we can get more value from that if we coordinate that story and market is the thing that we are challenged by. And so that's what we're hoping to do, is to support that. When it comes to good environmental management, we're spending literally hundreds of millions to help, to bring the waterways up to speed, to make sure we've got good biodiversity management. And I think anyone who read the Farm to Fork strategy from the EU, which they're going to spend $100 billion with farmers over the next 20 years, then that is all about biodiversity. It's all about good environmental management, good animal welfare. And if we don't kind of show that we're doing the same thing, we won't get a trade deal with them. So this is actually about meeting the expectations of our future consumers.
And market access, yeah, understand completely. One big part of your report here is around inclusiveness and employing 10% more Kiwis. This is 10,000 more. What I'd like to know is there's a discrepancy there from 6 years ago and Nathan Guy saying there's 50,000 jobs needed in the primary sector. Why such a small amount to attract when you have constantly, I know, Minister, met with members across the sector on this gaping skill shortage that we have?
Well, I think the 50,000 was probably true, and many of those people have been filled by, migrant workers, and that reality has finished now. I guess we're talking about 10,000 new people, highly skilled people, and indeed I think it will be more. But as I said, with the 10-year plan, let's be realistic about that and head down the right path. And if through success, we use more technology, we have better, higher paid jobs. I'm sure that will go to 20,000 people who are passionate about producing food for a world that wants our product. So look, the sky's the limit in my view, and they are indeed figures that are best target that we can estimate at this point. And I think we can go way beyond that.
Minister, we also have 200,000 people now on the unemployment benefit, and figures out that a third of businesses will continue to lay off staff in New Zealand. It's about a redeployment and the attraction to these particular roles. Are you happy with how some of these initiatives such as Go Dairy and the attraction to rural contractors has gone so far?
Rural contractors, all those courses are full up at this point. The Go Dairy, we had a bit of publicity last week. After that was shown on TV, we had 100 people calling in, inquiring about that course. I think what we don't do enough of is actually promote ourselves and the opportunities. We talk to ourselves, we talk round in circles, and we don't get out and spend the money promoting it. And so we just got to try harder. I think there are people out there who want to engage and work in the primary sectors, but they don't know enough about it, and we haven't shouted loud enough.
Yep, no, fair call. Absolutely, 100% on board with that mission, absolutely. So therefore, what's next with regards to seeing out the next couple of months to implement this with stakeholders across the industry?
Look, we've got to start, and as has been pointed out, there's a group of senior government public servants and heading the agencies of MPI, NZTE and MB, that they're working together along with some industry leaders to get the basics up and running. So we've got a whole lot of money that has come through the budget. We've got ministerial groups looking to make sure that goes in the right place. We will then set up a primary sector group that actually will take charge of this moving forward. And I haven't decided, worked on what is the best structure of that, partly representation, partly inspiration. And then we've got a group that, as the Tataia document says, a group of Māori and Pākehā who can sit down and say, this is a Māori concept of well-being. How do we best protect that? And I've seen what we can do with a 100% pure New Zealand, a brand, a story that we've really successfully developed over time. I'm sure that we can do the same with Tataia, but it will require good understanding, it will require discipline in how we use that, and it will and good promotion. So there's much to do here, but I think the prize at the end of it is well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, in regards to the understanding, there has been a lot of people wanting to understand why the word regenerative has been a big part of the vision, and the government's ability to put a framework or definition around this term to be able to embed that within who we are as a farming nation, and the controversy that science has circled around this.
I don't think there's controversy. There's a few people who have their opinions, but they're entitled to those. I guess regenerative refers to a whole lot of things across the, the biological systems. And it's come out of the US, I guess, where they've got they've got massive processing systems around food production and feedlots and all the rest of it. And people are seeing a negative thing. What they call regenerative is basically rotational pastoral grazing when you read a lot of the documents. And we do a lot of that, but we haven't called it anything other than pastoral farming. So if we can connect it with what they are seeking by way of their food products, then that's good. I don't think we should use their definition or we should develop our own concept around what we call regenerative, if we like. And in my view, let's call it tataya. It's around the values of our production system that say that we actually, when we do this, we care for the soil, we care for the water, we care for the animals, we care for the people. And indeed, as we're seeing in the marketplace now, consumers are willing to pay more for products that they consider are produced in an ethical way.
Damien, to end, I know that you have pointed the finger a lot about industry just getting on and getting it done. And the co-investment of the Primary Growth Partnership was one way, and yours was, of course, the SFF fund. And, of course, the announcement today that further funding, if not doubling the amount going into that to support innovation and innovative commercialised ideas. Do you believe the pathway to getting capital into seed-funded startups in an agricultural industry is easy enough?
Look, it's always challenging for new companies in New Zealand. That's the reality of our capital markets. The banks are willing to put money into houses and some into farms, but not into innovative businesses. And so there's a $300 billion fund that David Parker set up a year ago, actually announced at the field days, that is available for companies that want to get some of that capital. What we've said with the SFFF is that I want to see it at the leading edge and at the innovative area of primary industries, not business as usual. And while there were some really good initiatives with the PGP, there was a lot of it that was business as usual. And so we've really got to keep pushing the boat out there to investigate, what is possible in our farming systems, what's possible with our land use. And only then will we really start to build some opportunities. And whether it be, we've got red kiwi fruit coming on stream, we've got, other things products that can, really generate huge amount of export earnings if we develop them in the right way. And, some of the things that we're getting from our meat products, from dairy, that all building value on what is a raw material that we have in our country of high quality, and that we think we can get more for.
I was speaking there to Don Carson, who believes that we don't have an issue of adding value here. We need to continue to export logs. That's his one opinion. Do you believe that we're pairing up the secondary industry, our manufacturing industry, and growing that for ongoing export revenue into the future, and a great place for government spend to add value to our primary sector products?
Well, we should be doing more of that everywhere. And if we can get $10 for a product, and if you go to Sinlay, they were rolling out cans of infant formula there, that gave us, $300,000 a tonne for milk powder when, compared to $3,000 a tonne. Of course, that required a lot more capital and investment, but ultimately, the product that left our shores was worth so much more, and I think we've got to do more of that. And in the meat industry, there's been great innovation and some exemplars of that. We've just got to do more.
Okay, how do we do more for the strong wool industry? I know Friday's an exciting day for many of us, Damien.
Look, there are a number of opportunities there. Ron's, talks about, melting wool down and then extruding it out, using it in different products there. You've got people who want it in insulation, you've got people who want it in carpets, and then, if we can soften it up and use it in clothing, many opportunities just completely discoordinated, uncoordinated, disconnected, and we have to bring some unity there. This report will be the start of a process. Again, there are a lot of vested interests in the sector that say things are okay, even when, it's a loss-making proposition for a farmer. And anyone in the wool industry that thinks that anything is right at this point is dreaming and has their head in the sand. So we have to have change. And government can't do this, but we have to encourage and enable it.
Damien, look forward to having a read of that wool report on Friday, but can I just say that one thing that has been good out of the process of waiting for this wool report has been the fact that there has been a New Zealand Council of Wool Interests pull together for the first time and in probably wool's history to collaborate for once and for all. So if anything, that's a positive out of this entire process. So thank you.
Well, it is, and they say they're unified. I'm not quite sure of that, and so there's been a lot of assertions made. There's still a lot of tension and division in the wool industry. If they truly are united, then I welcome that, and I'm happy to work with them. But, my investigations at this point say there's still too much division to get the real momentum that we need, to give wool its proper place in our economy, and that can be, a $1 or $2 billion industry, I believe.
Thank you so much for taking the extra time to stay with us there, Minister Damien O'Connor, Minister for Agriculture, following the Fit for a Better World Acceleration Roadmap launched today. And of course, that's seeing potentially $44 billion or nearly a doubling over the next decade to continue to see primary industry at the forefront of our economic recovery post-COVID-19.
This is Sarah's Country.